We are now going to move on to our third and final speaker for today. And this speaker is actually live face-to-face. I haven't shaken Darrell's hand in over 2 years, I think, so it's kind of nice to be able to see him today. But our third speaker is Darrell Zeller. And I'm going to go start off with an introduction. And it goes, when Darrell Zeller joins an organization, he tends to stay with that organization. He joined Toastmasters in 1980, which is a year before I was born. And then he joined the Riverside Society of Parliamentarians in 1998, which is a year before I graduated. Weird. He has served the district as parliamentarian for District 12, District 57, District 100, and Founders District. Tonight, he will tell us why you should be aware of parliamentary procedures and give a very brief overview of some of the rules to enable us to have effective meetings. Darrell Zeller, a brief look at parliamentary procedures, Darrell Zeller.
Mr. Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, I was literally shocked when Tom Jameson asked me to do a presentation on parliamentary procedures because he's told me that this subject bores him. Well, this subject may bore him, but I think that parliamentary procedures is something that we need to be aware of and know something about. Now, you may be like Tom and think that parliamentary procedures is boring. Fine. I don't. I think it'd be very, very interesting. You may come up with the question, why should we be concerned about parliamentary procedures? I'd like to answer that question with a question. Would you prefer to go to a meeting that is well organized, things are smooth, they're civil, business gets done, and you could leave on time? Or would you prefer to go to a meeting which is chaotic? People are yelling at each other, they're insulting each other, there's nothing going on, nothing getting done. And it goes on and on for hours. Well, ladies and gentlemen, personally, I prefer going to one that's organized. However, sadly to say, there are many different meetings which are not very well organized. And I think the epitome of all those meetings happened in 1863 when Henry Roberts was asked to chair a city meeting about the Civil War, safety of the city that he was in. He turned around, oh, excuse me.
Because you're in the middle of the screen and my name is, no, don't show that.
Oh,
Come over this way.
okay.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, there you go.
Okay, but he turned around, that meeting lasted for 14 hours. 14 hours, that's a long time. But he was so disgusted that he said, I will never chair another meeting until I learn something about parliamentary law. 4 years later, he had gotten promoted to major and moved out to San Francisco. He literally was watching people coming from all parts of the country. They all thought that the parliamentary procedures from their neck of the woods, what should be done. He said, this is disorganized. So he started turning around looking for, what can I find out on parliamentary law? He looked for England. He looked for in the United States. There's Jefferson's Manual, which Thomas and Jefferson had created for operating Congress. There are many different other ones. And then he started saying, all of these have something in common. First off, every one of them said that every member has an equal voice. Every member should be heard. And every member has an equal vote, irrespective of whether you're well, what your gender is, what your race is, what your religion is. Everyone has an equal voice. And thirdly, you need to have you need to have a quorum there. Now, what is the quorum? Well, according to the parliamentary authorities, it is just over 50% of your members. Of course, in Toastmasters at the club, that's true. But they turned around and said for the district level, it is 1/3 of the president's and the vice president's education. So if you have 30 clubs there, they're active clubs, you have 60 votes. And 1/3 would simply be 20. So all you have to have an effective meeting would be have 20 of those people. But what do you need to have a good organized meeting? You need somebody to run the meeting. You need somebody to take the minutes. And like I said before, you need to have a quorum. Because remember, the majority rules. And you not only need that, but you need to have a ground rule. Where are we going? What are we going to be doing now? Then what maps are we going to follow? Wait a minute. We call those agendas, don't we? Well, anyway, you have an agenda, and you maybe want to have some special rules for this meeting. The special rules be ground rules. Both the agenda and the ground rules need to be approved at the beginning of the meeting. You've got them approved, and now we go into business. How do you bring business before the meeting? Somebody stands up, recognized by the chair. I move that we do such and such. Okay. The chair asks for a second. Then he repeats the motion and says, it has been moved that we do such and such. Is there any discussion? He should immediately call on the maker of the motion for do the first discussion, because that is the individual who has the responsibility for telling everybody why we should approve that motion. Now, the maker of the motion does that. But, I have seen many times where the maker of a motion will get up and will say, well, Mr. Chair, I think since we've had a little bit of an issue in this area, and it'd be a good idea if we did something different. Therefore, I think we should, the chairman right at that point should have stopped him immediately and said, sir, madam, that is discussion. What is your motion? Because I've seen it happen where somebody did a minute and a half, 2 minutes of discussion before the district governor was able to get the motion out of him, and then asked that individual for any discussion. And he repeated what he said at the beginning. So literally, it might seem abrasive to turn around and stop somebody and say, hey, that's discussion. What is your motion? But it makes things move along much better. And once you have discussion, you have opportunity to do additional motions. Not another main motion, because you can only have one main motion on the floor at a time. But other motions, subsidiary motions, and privilege motions. And I'm going to do a little bit of cheating right now, because I, at my age, do not remember them in the ranking order that they should be. But subsidiary motions, the lowest ranking one is you can postpone indefinitely. That motion should never be passed, because when it is passed, it takes the main motion and throws it out in the limbo. And where's it going to go? It's in outer space someplace, never to be seen again. Then you can make an amendment, and you can actually have two amendments going on at the same time. And with these amendments, you always can turn around. Member A says, I move to amend to doing such and such. Member B says, I may move to amend to include this. And if you do this, the last in is first out. You have to resolve the member B's amendment before you can resolve member A's amendment. And if it is passed, it becomes attached to the amendment for member A. You resolve that. And once you have approved that, then you go and resolve the main motion. I have seen it happen. In fact, as it just happened this year, where a person went and resolved the amendment and said, okay, fine, now this motion has been passed. No, it hadn't been passed. It hadn't been voted on yet. But after the amendments, then you can commit or refer to a committee. And this means simply that you're going to send the motion and any amendments that are attached to it go to the committee. You don't send just the amendments. You don't send just the motion. Everything goes to committee to be reported on at a later time along with their recommendations. Then you can postpone to a time certain. In postponing to a time certain, that's different than postponing indefinite, because now we have established a time that we want to bring this motion back to the table for discussion. It's at a future meeting, most likely. That's normally what is happening. And then, of course, we can limit or extend the time for debate. I already talked about that a little bit, but why do we want to talk about limiting the time for debate? Let me share with you a little bit of something here. I use Robert's Rules of Order because that's what Toastmasters International has said we will use, unless we're in a country that requires a different one, like Australia. They use Renton. But Robert's Rules of Order says that if a member wants to speak, they have the right to speak for 10 minutes. And if everybody wants to speak, once everybody has spoken, then everybody has the right to speak a second time for 10 minutes. You have 30 people in your audience at the meeting. All of them want to speak for the 10 minutes, both times. 600 minutes on discussion on one item of business? No, you want to try to limit that. And that's what the ground rules are up front. You limit that time for debate for the simple reason that, hey, it gives us an opportunity to keep the meeting moving and not waste all of our time on one item. And after you do the limiting of the debate, you can also go ahead and ask for previous question. Many people think that asking for previous question is simply a call to vote on the business that's on hand. No, the motion to previous question is a motion to end the debate, end the discussion. If that is approved, then you go ahead and vote on the business that's at hand at that point in time. And finally, the last one, the seventh one, is to lay it on the table. Now, if you lay it on the table, it has to come back up at the same meeting. So why would you do it? Say your CEO wants to come and address your group, but he has to leave shortly. So when he comes in, you might say, oh, we have some business going on. Motion to lay it on the table, let the CEO do his presentation, and then when he leaves, you have to have a motion to bring it back from the table and you continue the discussion. Just a continuation of the discussion. Those are our subsidiary motions, but there also are 5 privilege motions that you can use. The first one is you can call for the orders of the day. Now, some agendas have the times on it. And if you have the times on it, that's good, and maybe not so good. The reason for the times on it is simply that, hey, it tells everybody, are we progressing on schedule? Will we be able to finish the business on schedule? However, if you schedule something to take 5 minutes and all of a sudden it's taking 15 minutes or so, then any member from the audience can get up and call for the orders of the day. The chairman at that point should say, the orders of the day have been called for. All those in favor with proceeding for the orders of the day signify by saying aye. Those that oppose say no. Now, your agenda was approved at the beginning of the meeting. That was by a majority vote. Now it takes a 2/3 vote to override that. And the motion is, should we proceed with the orders of the day? Now, if you had 40% of the people say, we want to proceed with the orders of the day, and 60% said, no, we want to continue the discussion. It takes a 2/3 vote, so the chair would have to say, the orders of the day have been approved. We now go on to this other business, wherever we're supposed to be on our agenda. And the other business goes by the wayside. Other subsidiary motions or privilege motions you can do are raised to a question of privilege or question for information. You could call for a recess. You can make a motion to adjourn, but the one that takes the highest precedence of them all is call for fix the time to which to adjourn. And that one simply means that, hey, our meeting has lasted long enough. Right now, we need to stop, but we need to continue this meeting, and we want to do it at a certain time. And we just go ahead and continue on with the meeting at that point in time. You don't adjourn it. You might postpone it or set a time, but it has to be before your next scheduled meeting, because otherwise it has not invalid. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll guarantee you, I have not even touched the base on parliamentary procedures, but we have many different sources for parliamentary procedures. We have Roberts, which I use. We also have Demeter. This is a nice little book, a couple hundred pages. I hope you have a PhD and can understand it. Very difficult reading. Then you have Sturgis, which now became the standard code. It is not used that much. Some places do use it, like the University of California uses it, but the majority of the people around use parliamentary procedures by Robert's Rules of Order. 700 and some pages. I told you that there are 12 motions. And in this book, excuse me, got it to get it right side up, there are the gray pages. And in the gray pages, they list 86 variations on those motions. It depends on the situation each time. Does the person need to be recognized? Does the motion need to be seconded? Is it amendable? Is it debatable? What level do you need to approve it? And can it be reconsidered? I wouldn't expect anybody to try to go through those 86 different variations at any time at all. And if you really get serious, you want to do a lot of studying, you have insomnia, this is a good book to read. However, it has been revised 12 different times. But they came out with Robert's Rules of Order in brief, 170 pages. It contains as much information as you're going to need on 95% of any meetings that you may be chairing. You may have some questions about it, which would apply different scenarios. If you do have, I suggest you go ahead and attend one of these meetings of some organization that is working on Robert's Rules or working on parliamentary procedures. For example, the Riverside Society of Parliamentarian has a virtual meeting the second Tuesday of every month in the evening. I think it starts at 6:30. We used to meet at 6 and now it's 6:30. Then we also are trying to start a Toastmasters club, Call to Order, and it meets on the third Tuesday of each month virtually at 7 p.m. I strongly encourage you, go ahead and take a look, do a little bit of delving into parliamentary procedures. And I think, like me, you will find out that it can be very interesting and it can be a lot of fun. Mr. Toastmaster.
Great.
Thank you.
Do you want to stay for a couple of questions? See if
Go
we have
ahead.
Some questions.
Go ahead.
While we go see if anybody has some questions, we have about just a little bit of time. So before we give some feedback, any questions from our audience?
Question.
Oh, Sandy.
Sandy.
Will you come to some of our clubs and give a parliamentary instruction?
I could, but I'll guarantee you, if you want a mock meeting, it is going to be 45 minutes at a minimum. That's why we didn't do a mock meeting tonight. I tried to keep it down around 20 minutes. But this is why, just an overview of it. But I could do a little bit something like I did tonight. Yes, I would be willing to. However, don't make it at a time that I have another meeting, another club meeting, please.
All right, I think Tom has a question.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
Darrell, I just wanted to let Darrell know you kept me awake. So that was a good sign. Good, really good job. Really good job. Really appreciate you being here. And but anyway, I had to tell you, you kept me awake.
Well, Tom, I was glad to notice before that you didn't have a pillow with you, so I was hoping it would be able to keep you awake.
Okay, any other questions? Oh, we have,
People in clubs always say, point of order, it's all out of order.
Point of order is attempt to get the chair's attention. And literally, if you turn around and do a point of order, it is something legal. It's normally used to bring back something that is going wrong administratively. So you want to bring back to what the subject is. And any amendments that you make need to be germane to the motion. They need to be germane. Something that is not germane, the chair should just say, that's dilatory, you're out of order. Or the motion is out of order, excuse me. You never call a person out of order. Yeah.
thank you so much. Our next question is from Michael Ozier.
Go ahead, Mike.
You're on mute, Michael.
Can you believe that? I'm on mute. Darrell, you took my exact question. This whole issue around out of order, because I don't think it's used enough. Because many of these things these activities that delay these meetings are discussions and motions that are totally out of order. So when the chair calls it out of order, and this person has all their friends fighting to bring it back, does it have to go to a vote? And how do you keep those lunatics from doing that to you?
Well, as far as the out of order is concerned, number one, people don't want to turn around and say to somebody, you're out of order. They feel it's a little bit rude and abrasive. However, if the motion is out of order, it's because it's not germane to the business at hand. And you just say, excuse me, that motion is not germane to the business at hand, and we want to resolve this business at hand. And after we have this business resolved, then you can make your motion.
Thank you so much. All righty, now we're going to go to Dr. Michael Alexander. You're next, and then we're going to go to Lois. Lois, you're next, and then we'll finish off with Karen.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to say I was very disappointed by this presentation. Not by what you said, but by the fact that I've discussed parliamentary procedure many times and haven't done nearly as good a job as you did. But my question, I last learned Robert's Rules of Order, I think, on the 7th edition. And I looked at it, I read the whole book, all 700 pages or whatever it was. And I just kind of wondered, what changes do they make between editions? What's there to change?
Okay.
Right now.
Testing 1, 2. Okay, now we've got it. Okay, what changes did it make? Well, they've added disciplinary actions, and the 12th edition, they went around and they recognized we have something now called virtual meetings. We have to add information on what to do with virtual meetings. So as the technology improves throughout the country, we do make some revisions to increase it. Items that are missing, that literally too many people are having questions on what to do about it, they turn around and do some revisions based on this. Now, when Mr. Roberts originally put this out, he had, I think it was 86 pages. And his wife turned around and said, wait a minute, we have some issues on our women's meetings, and he wound up having to add 16 more pages on the very first year that Robert's Rules of Order came out. Fact is, there were 2 revisions on the very first year. So things happen, people change.
Lois.
Yes, thank you, Darrell. Thank you very much. What is a point of personal privilege and when can it be called? A point of personal privilege.
Want to turn around and have some type of, the windows are, it's too hot in here. Can we have it air conditioning turned on? Can we open some windows? Something like that is point of personal privilege. A point of information that you want to have. Maybe you want to have something read or something clarified, and you can do that. And there's different rules on when you can open it and when you need, when you can do it and when you can't do it. Suggest that is one of the 86 or a couple of the 86 rules variations that are in the back of the book. So literally, it really depends on what the situation is.
Great, thank you. All righty, we're gonna go to wrap up this section with a question from our just most recently past international director, Karen Lucas.
I'm in trouble.
No. It's actually, thank you, first of all, for this, and also a shameless plug that Riverside Society of Parliamentarians actually was very helpful to me personally, and I miss getting to go to those meetings, but they have something very unique, and forgive me if I'm repeating it, the Parley Pro sessions are absolutely diamonds in the rough. So if you have something as a parliamentary procedure issue, whether it's with your HOA or if you're a district environment leader and you're using the parliamentary procedure in Planet Toastmasters, then they will actually dry drill out what is going on in their Parley Pro session and help you work out what is going on. So there are Toastmasters and non-Toastmasters in the RSP, Riverside Society of Parliamentarians, and they are just absolutely valuable for that. And also I need to throw down for my colleagues in Australia, they have Rentons and they're big fans of Rentons down there. So there are a lot of different sources, but Robert's Rules tends to be the game in town here in the United States and for Toastmasters.
Yeah, Toastmasters definitely said that their parliamentary authority is Robert's Rules of Order, newly recently revised. And then they also said that for those places like Australia, they may have a different authority, and that's authorized by Toastmasters International.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, Darrell.
Thank you very much.
Take that for me.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. Well, Darrell, go ahead and cleans up real quick. Want to thank everybody for joining us today. We had a fantastic meeting with 3 great speakers. I do always appreciate whenever we have some guests that are able to come and join us, you know, here at live, but also online as well. Once again, I just want to encourage everybody, if you haven't had an opportunity to be able to go for your qualified speaker yet, please give it a shot. Go out there, give it a chance. Go attend the 6 meetings, find yourself a coach. The experience is an amazing opportunity. And I just, as somebody, I actually remember whenever Judy first joined Toastmasters, and the change that she has made as a speaker over these years is a testament to the program that Toastmasters does. So I appreciate all of her hard work on that. And I just love that we're able to see that transformation as people grow within this program. With that, I am your MC for today, but I'd like to go to hand conduct of today's meeting over to Michael Ozier, our co-chair, for his final comments and for closing remarks. Thank you all so much for attending today.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Big hand for Jeremiah. Good job. And doing the quick battery change there, seamless. It was beautiful. Dr. Valencia, we would
didn't hear.
Dr. Valencia, we would always
so you
want.
broke up. Did you?
Oh, all right, Dr. Valencia, please share anything you want for from the district. Dr. Valencia, you can speak.
Oh,
What I'm saying, can you
Is she thinking? Well, oh, there you are. Okay, unmute.
Hear me? Can you?
Unmute. Any wisdom from the district?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you. Only wisdom I have from the district or news is about the trainers training that's coming up on November 11th and November 12th. In addition to being grateful to be a part of the Speakers Bureau on today and hearing amazing speeches.
Now, Dr. Jones, who's leading that Train the Trainers?
Charlotte Nagel is leading the training. It's from
What-
9 to 3:30.
Please, people, that's a past district governor in 2 districts, past district director, and a qualified speaker. So, wow. And a school teacher, principal, great job. Thank you, Dr. Valencia. As a reminder, our next meeting is December 7th. It's a special meeting. There'll be the showcase, as Tom described. There'll be a salute to our service members, history of the military, World War II. There's so much possibilities. If you are a current or retired service member, please contact Tom Jameson, and I'll try to get you on the agenda. And if you want to participate in one of the 2 showcases, which are probably not even allowed by Toastmasters, we're going to do it anyway. Contact Tom. What did we say they were? Tall Tales and I can't remember the other one. Was it Table Topics? Either way, Tom will send something out.
Humor.
Contact what?
Humor.
There you are. So what an opportunity to expand your skill set in Toastmasters and in our Speakers Bureau. Tom's hoping for a big in-person showing in December. I'll be up in the Bay Area, so I won't be there. But the rest of you that are down there, please come. And thank you for the qualified speakers that were here today. And we're tabulating the votes as we speak. And Tom will send out an email in the next day or so and contact our qualified speaker. This is what it's all about in the Speakers Bureau: new speakers, trying to be qualified, interesting speakers from other districts, and our own expert parliamentarian. Oh, Lois. Hi, Lois.
Darling, I am very intrigued by the Riverside Society of Parliamentarians, RSP, the second Tuesday of the month. That's election day. Will you still be holding it from 6 to 7:30 on election day?
Darrell, are you here, Darrell?
This is Marjorie. I'm a member. Yes, we're holding it.
Okay, vote early. Vote early. It's important to vote. I'll see you there, Marjorie. Thank you.
So Lois, if you want to join there for a meeting, maybe Marjorie can connect you. There's some documents you want to download because they actually go over the actual past RSP, what are they called? Documents with the actual exam that you have to take, and they discuss it in ways that even made my brain go Swiss cheesy. But you learn by doing. It's really a fabulous. I miss not going. I learned so much.
Thank you for that heads up, Michael. Thank you.
Oh, past international Greg Scott from Lake County. You're muted.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the thing to turn off. Sometimes I got to smash it, that mic picture down there. Anyway, great to see everybody tonight. Great speeches. I didn't get to catch all of them, but congratulations to those who went forward and are brave enough to face the firing squad. And I wish you the best. I hope all those people miss their shots at you and you do well and become a QS. I attended an earlier meeting. That's why it's late of 407. We're preparing for our first in-person meeting, which will be November 6th down in Southern California. And then it'll be blended with people on Zoom. We have 3 speakers, 2 past international directors and 1 past District 5 governor with good topics. And so we're looking forward to it. The one thing I'm very impressed with is leadership team of the officers are working overtime to try to make this first blended meeting a success. And they are busy on site, putting up cameras, putting up mics, putting in mixers and trying everything. And Giovanna's doing a great job as president, trying to coordinate all that. And so I encourage you to register, whether online or in person, to attend this meeting for the first time. I know we have enough people already registered. They take care of the cost of the rent for the building for that time. And there's dinner for $35 if you're there in person. And so I invite you to do that. And also just think about November 6th is fall back. So remember Saturday night on November 5th, if you turn your clocks back, the next morning you won't be late and get the red card from the next timer. So fall back and be on time. And that's my message.
Thank you, Greg. You'll get an extra hour of beauty sleep. If there's nothing else from the group, you're going to get 9 minutes of your life back. Thank you, everyone, for a wonderful District 12 Speakers Bureau. See you December 7th. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Bye, Karen. Talk to you later. Thank you, Rob. Good job.